A lot of people think I'm rich. I love traveling, so that's a high priority. So some of our money goes to traveling, like no matter what. And then, yeah, I have 5 houses, 5 mini jobs that I love to do. It's sometimes what people think like you would be so good at. Well, is that something that lights you on fire or lights them on fire? Because it might be completely opposite.
Hi, welcome back to Invested and Rested. Today we have Tanya Rooney with us, and I'm so excited for her to share a little bit about her journey and also her expertise in creative finance and partnerships. So, welcome onto the show. And if you wouldn't mind just starting us off, letting us know a little bit what you did before you started your own investment journey.
Yeah. Hey, ladies. Thank you very much for the invite. I'm really excited to talk because I just love talking. It doesn't really matter what the subject is half the time. It's like I don't necessarily like the sound of my voice, but I do like to talk. So,
Yeah.
so I am Tanya Rooney. Like they said, I'm in Minneapolis and St. Paul area. So I do real estate in that market. And what did I do before investing? I've actually been in real estate for like 15 years now. So before I got into residential real estate or like my personal investing, I worked at CBRE for like 9 years. So doing commercial real estate stuff, like I did project management. So I was on a shared services team. And then before that, I was in like college and maybe I had a couple other stupid jobs, but I worked at Meat Market once. That's about it before real estate.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, nice to have some random things in there first.
Everybody has them.
Yeah. And I feel like there's so many people that work in commercial real estate or as a realtor and they never really start investing. So what was that aha moment for you where you're like, I need to start this or I really want to do this?
So I want to answer that in like 2 different ways. So it's really interesting that you say that because I've spoken a couple of things. Like there's a corporate real estate for women group called Crew. It's actually national. So Minnesota's is Min Crew. And so I was in that because I worked at CBRE for probably like 5 years. I was on the board. I, helped out on committee stuff and went to these events. And I realized now, fast forward, I've gotten to speak again, like post CBRE job. And it's so interesting how many people are in real estate, especially commercial real estate, and don't consider themselves in real estate. Like in a way, like they just think of it like it's just their job. But then I think of it because now I'm on the other side and I'm like, holy Hannah, they have access to some of the best deals. They have so much knowledge. They know how to look at leases. They know how to comp properties in ways that people on our side of, personal investing would like kill for. Like I left CBRE and I thought to myself, like I did a little bit of investing right before I left CBRE for maybe like a year or two. I didn't even consider myself a real estate person. I didn't consider myself a real estate professional in any way, shape or form until I started flipping houses, which is crazy because I was in real estate. Like I know how to look at leases. I know how to do project management. I know how to hire general contractors, architects, find furniture, move people into spaces. Like I know how to, I didn't know how to underwrite deals or anything, but I still knew how to do some very valuable things that I never considered. I didn't ever think I was in real estate. I was just like, but I worked at the biggest commercial real estate company in the world. So I find that to be really, really, but it's interesting because it's true. That's exactly the sentence. Like, well, it's just my job. So some of these like awesome, badass woman like brokers, just like, why aren't you? You just made $100,000 in commission on that property. Like and it's a conflict of interest for them to do certain pieces of real estate like that. That's completely, that makes sense. But at the same token, it's like, but you could totally do some of this for yourself. You guys could all go in on a property. Like you have ins on properties that other people don't. And man, it blows my mind. But I digress really hard and fast.
I think that's all super valuable. And like, that might hit home for some people that are just sitting, I'm going to say on the sidelines, but they're not. Mm-hmm. You're right. They're like in it, but they're not like doing
They're not even considering.
Themselves. Right.
No, they're not even considering what kind of money that can make for themselves because like, that's like our goal. Like I'm certain that you guys invest the same way. And the fact that I want my money to be making money for itself. Like I don't want to have to work this hard for another 20 years. And I think about some of the hustling brokers have to do. Like, I mean, I worked with a lot of people at CBRE. They're incredible at their jobs. And some of them make so much money, they don't care. But some of them, and some of them have huge portfolios that no one even knows about. I found that out like after I started and was like, wait a minute, that guy's got like 300 houses. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
And come to
amazing.
find out, like, yeah, that's like something he does. But you just like sometimes you just don't think about it, that it's like you could do some of this stuff for yourself. And that's honestly how like my story entered. It was a Saturday morning. I got a text message from a client, actually from another shared services person. So we were both working on the same project. She was somebody that was like bidding out a portion of the project, and we got the bids in, we sent them over, and then we made a recommendation for them to go with this one company for two pieces of work, like two scopes of work. And the guy said, no, if we do it this way, we're going to save a couple grand. Let's do it this way. So that means we were awarding two scopes of work that were very similar to two different companies, which means just extra logistics for us. Totally fine. But the fact that he was trying to save $2,000 on an $8 million project made me go, are you fucking joking? Like, this is how I'm spending my Saturday morning. Like it was just like an annoying, like, what in the heck is happening? And why am I doing this to myself? And that was my straw that broke the, I guess, camel's back. I don't know why we're breaking camel's back, and I don't know why a straw does. I should really look that up. But anyways, so that's how it started for me. I was at a CrossFit gym in the Twin Cities. There's a lot of real estate people at CrossFit gyms, at least in my CrossFit gym. So I was talking
Good to know. I have access to a lot and I just never go to them. Maybe I can check them out.
Yes, you totally have to. Cause, so I did that, and I was talking to somebody in a class, and she's just like, she had already been trying to convince me to do some real estate stuff before that. Cause again, didn't consider myself in real estate. I was just like a project manager that happened to work at CBRE. And then I had reached out to her either that day or within a couple of days. And I'm like, hey, I think I need to figure this out. She thought I'd be good at flipping. So I'm like, okay, what should I do? Like, what's step one? She told me to start listening to Bigger Pockets. I binged Bigger Pockets hard. She connected me with one of her agents. She is a broker. She connected me with one of her agents that was a flipper as well. And she's like, hey, this girl's a new agent. She'd be great though to help you find some projects. And, cause she knew I hadn't done any. So I hired her, and then within 3 months we had a house. We actually, the first property we ever analyzed for a flip deal and made an offer on, we got. And then it turned into, oh, this is going to be a really, really big, like there was a lot of foundation stuff. So, and I'd never done that before. So it wasn't a good fit, but yeah, like about a month later or something, we had a project and we started flipping houses.
Do you remember the numbers?
Probably, I think so. I feel like it was on the market for probably about 160, 175,000. And we got it for like 120. Cause that's another thing that it's always a myth. Like if you think that people have to make offers and they have to make full price offers on the MLS, it's absolutely not true. I got a lot of deals off the MLS, and
love the MLS.
One time I got like $120,000 off. Like for real. These things happen. It's not like, they're obviously little mini unicorns displayed here and there. But yeah, so I probably did that. Like we did back and forth with them. It was in pretty rough shape. There's just a lot of work that needed to do. It was in South St. Paul. And so we got it under contract. I think we probably closed for around 120, 130. And then we sold it 4 months later or something. And we probably made 30 or 40,000 or something on it.
Very nice. And that's what you got you hooked.
Yeah, that did. And it's funny because our next house, like our second flip, was just down the road on the same street. And we named like all of our back end, so all of our operations, everything has addresses and stuff. And it's like, oh, this was on 7th Street. This was on 7th Street. So yeah, we ended up flipping a handful of houses. I think to date, we've probably done like 20 some deals. And and this started in about 2017. I think 2018. And so we've done a handful of flips. We've done a couple of wholesales. We have buy and hold, like we have short-term rentals. We have 5 properties right now. And then a 6th that we're working on right now is a motel. So yeah, it got me hooked. Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Dylan, I've always wanted to invest in real estate, but I just don't really know how to figure out if it's a good deal or not. Like, how do you figure that out?
Well, you're in luck.
Ooh, tell me more.
Because we are going to be hosting a Deal a Day challenge. First, we'll send you our calculator, our super calc. We've combined our best resources into this amazing calculator to analyze your deals.
Awesome.
And then you're going to join us live every day next week, starting Monday, September 23rd.
Okay.
And we are going to analyze deals together. So you're going to get used to analyzing deals so that you're going to create confidence and know when you have a good deal, and you'll be ready to make an offer.
Oh my gosh, this sounds so amazing. So basically, I'm going to get this calculator for free. You're going to explain how to use it. And then we're going to go through examples, and I can even bring an example to the table.
Yeah, please. We'd love to do your example. We can analyze your deal that you've been considering.
Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Thank you so much. And how do I sign up for this?
Just go to investedandrested.com. It's totally free. Join us.
Very cool. I will see you on the 23rd.
Is the motel a flip or is that a buy and hold?
So it is a buy and hold. It needs a little bit of work, and some of it's just cosmetic. A lot of it is operations that need to be better and marketed better and stuff like that. But there is some renovations that are happening. Like we do have one room torn apart at the moment, like with some holes in the wall, and we chipped away all the tile and stuff. So some of that is happening, but a lot of it, I would consider it light renovations. But we have 10 rooms up and running right now and actually being rented, and those all got some kind of light touch. They might have gotten paint. They all got new light fixtures, new mirrors, like some electrical got checked over and redone if it needed to be. Some of them got new fans, like just things like that. And then we hope to be able to do like a bigger renovation on it at some point, but we're figuring some stuff out for sure.
Did you have short-term rentals before that, or did you just go straight into a motel?
Oh my gosh, no, I do not think, I'm being honest, I don't think I could have handled that because guests are different. And maybe because if I were to go in fresh to a motel, like if I didn't have any short-term rental experience, that probably would have been a little bit different because then I wouldn't have known what to expect. But I think it definitely prepped me for appropriate things. Like one room, we got open like 4th of July weekend. We had some other rooms open before that, but one room we got open around then, and the first guest broke the brand new TV. It's a brand new TV. They're like beautiful 50-inch TVs. And the first guest, I walked in there and I'm like, does that TV look weird? And then I looked further and I'm like, is that broken? Of course it was. So in that, that would have crushed me in short-term rental land. If it was my first deal ever, like if it was my first short-term rental, the first time a guest comes in and breaks your shit or like messes things up really bad, it hurts. Like it hurts to your soul,
Yes,
especially
it
if
does.
you're a hosty host. Like I'm a hosty host. Like I love hosting, and it feels like somebody is like offending you personally, which is silly because it's a freaking house. And I know, but I had to go through those knocks. I totally needed to get kicked down the times that I have so that I can handle the stuff that I'm in now. And it is like motels are totally different kind of avatar of a human that's going to come, like different kind of people you have to talk to, different things you're getting yelled at about, because I get yelled at a lot about
What do people yell at you
driver's
for?
license. Man, like we kind of treat it like a short-term rental, like in the way that there's not an on-site staff. There's not like an actual office. We haven't figured out that we can, make enough money to support having somebody on site full time. So we haven't done that yet. So everything's online. So that means that people have to put their driver's license online and take a selfie to make sure it's the same. And the amount of this is 75 years old plus. Those are the people that like to yell at me. I got yelled at like a lot of times so far, and this is only like 3 months in, and it's okay now. I can totally handle it. But then I was just like, oh my God, I hate this. And like trying to explain to them, well, we don't have somebody on site actually taking this. Well, I've been staying in motels for 70 years and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but nobody's there. Like, and if you're a crazy person, I need to know, because it's also attached to like a guest verification. So it checks some really heavy lists, like the scary people. And I'm just like, well, and it checks to make sure our guests are safe. And they're like, well, I'm not crazy. And it's like, well, wouldn't the crazy person say that? Like a psycho killer would never tell you that they're a psycho killer. So that is so good. Like, but trying to do that in a hospitality, customer servicey way. And, like say, no, if you don't want to give us your driver's license, no, I can't rent to you because I'm not going to send somebody there just to check your driver's license. Right. So that's the kind of stuff that's different, because short-term rentals, that stuff doesn't really happen. Like
people get it. They know what they're getting themselves into when they stay and book.
They totally do. Yeah. So that's been it's been a really good lesson. A good one.
Well, I think it's the new wave that's coming, so people are going to have to get used to it.
Yeah, yes, it totally that's kind of something that I've thought too, that I'm like, "Well, we can't do that way, and you want me they also want me to, only charge $60 for a room," and I'm like, "You don't wanna know the neighbors you're gonna have if you're only charging $60 for a night." Like,
Or
they're
how
gonna be
clean
gross
it's gonna
neighbors.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes, totally. So, it's just kind of getting those knocks in of, like, how you deal with those kinds of people and how you can talk to them and still be hospitable because, honestly, that is something that I enjoy doing and I think is really important. But yeah.
So in what ways are you trying to scale now?
I'm totally not a scale person. I think I learned, so I joined a group called Seven Figure Flipping a few years ago. That's the reason like I do the stuff that I do is because I found somebody else to be like, because we did that first flip and then the second flip and we were like, well, if we really want to do this and we want to get out of our jobs, we'll have to do a lot more. So I got into that group and wanted to do a ton of houses and do all this stuff and then realized, oh my God, I hate flipping. And oh my word, I don't want to be a wholesaler. And I just kind of realized all that stuff. And then it took me a long time to figure out, though, and a lot of people telling me that I don't have to do those things. And I was like, oh. And then it also took me a long time to realize I was chasing other people's goals, not necessarily my own. So I was
Mm.
like, oh. So when people say scale, 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 I love those people. Man, some of their spirit, like I've got my motel mentor. I mean, he's scale, scale, scale. And I'm amazed by him. Like that dude is a robot. Like he can put out so much work. It's incredible. But I'm over here like, oh, I don't really want to work that hard. I mean, I like to work and I go through seasons of where I will work. I work a ton. And and I don't have any children. I have a husband and we like travel and have houses. So I really don't have to, like stop for things. So when I'm in a working season, I definitely work, but I don't want to work hard enough to have to like scale up or anything. I want to have like a nice portfolio. Like this motel that I'm at right now is an 18 unit boutique hotel. Whatever that looks like in the next 2 years, if we sell, if we keep for cash flow, so we keep for about 6 years. I'm already looking at other hotels though too. So I would like to have one or two hotels. I would like to get the operations really tight and then keep the houses that we have in the Twin Cities. They're fantastic. I love them. So probably keep those. And then I'm good. Like I think I could just, check into those here and there. And then I have a podcast of my own that if I could scale anything, it's going to be scaling my podcast. However, that I don't even know if that's a thing, but that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
So scaling
growing your
real estate.
audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So scaling real estate. No, I mean, I just want to make a lot of money and then give it to somebody else. I've got friends that are really, really good at what they do, like apartments, industrial properties, flips, whatever it is. Like I'd rather just give my money to them and, work on the things that like light me on fire and get me really
Yes.
excited.
That's great. And you have partners with some of your properties right now, correct?
Yeah, so I use that word probably differently than some other people. So
Okay.
I call them lending partners. I have a partner on the motel, like we have co-ownership. But on the short-term rentals, no. I'm like soloing them and then I get money from other people. So I do creative financing. We finance it with the bank and then we bring somebody else in and then we just give them we typically just give them interest rate money so I can be on my own island of like
Absolutely.
operations and things like that. Like I'm still beholden to them. Oh my gosh, I still have to pay them every single month, but they don't have to worry about like anything ever. Like it's just making sure that Tanya paid them every month. That's all they have to look for.
And how long are your lending terms with them? Is it indefinite or is it like a 2-year lending term and then you're done?
It depends on the person. Everybody has, so like we must have 4 lending partners right now. Cause I think we have one on each property except for one. And it depends on the person. Like I think that's the beauty of creative financing is it depends what they need. Like I have somebody that does want to cash out right now. So we have the house listed. We already had the place listed because we want to put that money somewhere else. So in their case, they're like, yep, whenever it sells, we'll take our money back. Some other people, they just have an indefinite, like we have like a 5-year term. But there's always stuff in our agreements that says if you need your money back, like this is how many days it's going to take us to get this money back. Like you can get 100% back or 50% back, whatever that is. So I typically go into those conversations and tell them, here, this is what I've got going on. What do you think? And then, if a term comes up and somebody wants their money back, we just we either put our money back into the deal or we find another person to put it in. there's a handful of people, and there's probably more than a handful of people out there that are fine with getting 10%, 8%, 15%, whatever the heck it is that they want in return for their money for it to just sit there. And I'm usually happy to be like, yep, that sounds good. I'm still making good money. I don't need to worry about this.
And do you use those for the down payment, for furniture, for the short-term rentals, or how are you putting that money to work?
So it depends on the property. So the last one we bought was a 6-bedroom, 4-bath in the Twin Cities. And those people came in with down payment, a little bit of rehab, like maybe 10 grand or something, because we needed to do a couple things. And then they did pay for and it paid for some furniture. And then other cases, it was just for the house and furniture was out of our pocket. It just like every single deal was different. A lot of these, I mean, 2 of our houses, they were flips. Like one of them was flips to begin with. We paid that person all out though. So I don't think there's any money on that, like extra money on that. And we just have a normal bank loan. But it kind of just depends on like what's happening right then. Like, do I need money to furnish? Do I need money to rehab? If it's up to me, like I would go to a bank to get money to rehab and buy. I already have a really good banker that's got pretty good terms on stuff like that. And then I would potentially put somebody in for a down payment, or it'd be down payment plus something like, if we want to do something extra. But yeah, it all depends on the deal. Like if I have $50,000 laying around and I can use it on a project, I'll use it. I would much prefer to save my money for emergencies. So like when you're like, oh crap, this just happened. Like, I mean, a $10,000 sewer problem, like that stuff happens. So I would rather keep my money sitting so that it can be used for stuff like that, which is kind of what's happening right now. And then use somebody else's money in place. Because if somebody else has like in their 401k or their IRA, they have $40,000 just sitting there and it's only making 4%, 5% less, more, or it's in the stock market, it's going up and down. Well, in my case, I can compound interest for them. So if they put it with me for 2 years, well, cool, they're going to get an 8%. And then the next year they're going to get 8% plus the the annual compound. And then it grows from there, obviously. So, and sorry, that's like a really, really easier term or like a faster way to say this is how I can make people more money. So yeah, everything depends on the deal.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. We have a big audience that is curious about how to get started. And a lot of times you need partners to get started. Not everybody is going to have that capital or want to use it.
Yeah.
So how do you start those conversations with potential lenders?
The first time you ever use creative financing or so private money, like mainly what I'm talking about is private money. So it could be your friend Jill has $40,000 sitting in an account. Let's just say it's in her savings account. And she actually has 60,000. So we're going to say she has 60,000. Your friend Jill has this. You would say something like, hey, I'm looking for some money on this real estate deal. Do you know anybody that has money? Jill might not tell you she has money, but she could also say like, hey, I have $40,000. We know she has 60. That's good. You never want to borrow people's emergency money. So I'm very, very specific when I talk to people about money stuff is like, this can't be emergency money. Like if something happens to your furnace and you're in Minnesota and you need 10 grand, I'm not going to give you 10 grand. Like this is an actual loan. You're not doing me a favor. You're actually making money off of the way that I'm making money. So I'm pretty clear about stuff like that, but I just like to ask questions like, what's your money doing right now? What do you need for your money? Like it's really just a conversation because all of it is a negotiation. Everything is how do we need to do this, to make it work for both of us. But the first time you ever do it, you also have to be really honest. You need to tell people like, hey, I haven't done this before, but I have a mentor. This is what they're teaching me. This is like, I think for me, the first time I ever did it, like having that honesty was really good. Like, I don't want to hoodwink anybody. I want them to know like, hey, I'm stumbling through this as well. Like, it's okay to be honest. And maybe that means instead of giving you 40,000, they're only going to give you 20. And that's okay because that's what life is. It's like you need to put in the reps so people can see that they have a reason to know, like, and trust you. So I feel like that's important. But if I had to give anybody the best advice, it would be to buy a book. It's called Getting the Money by Susan Lassiter Lyons. It's on Amazon. It's probably like $15 or something like that. And then if you really want to, you can do a deep dive on her. She did like a podcast circuit a few years ago. She was on podcasts all the time. She's got really good information and it's about like raising money for projects. I don't know if she talks about other business stuff. I know she talks about some real estate. So that's what I usually tell people is like, you need to learn a little bit about it. You need to learn some of the rules. You can't just go on Facebook and say, hey, I need $50,000 and I'll give you 8% return and it's guaranteed. Like you can't do stuff like that. That's illegal. Like there's SEC rules. If you want to borrow from people that you don't know, you do have a lot more rules you have to deal with. And you should look into that, consult with attorneys, actually Google it. Like don't do that in an unsafe way. But if you're borrowing from your aunt, your uncle, like somebody you went to college with, like somebody you already have a relationship with, it's easier than you would expect. And you also need to know that you're taking on that risk for them, though. You should always treat any money that you get into your business, into a flip, as your grandma's money. Like you don't want to lose your grandma's money. Like, and if you are fine losing your grandma's money, stop borrowing people's money. So please don't borrow anybody's money ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something you said that I want to repeat too, which is that they're not doing you a favor. Like this is a mutual agreement that people are voluntarily entering into, and that you are trying to help them with something, get more interest, right? Or to help them get their feet wet in real estate and just see what that feels like without having to do the work and having their money work for them.
Absolutely. I think it's really, really important to know, like, if somebody feels like they're borrowing you money, that is also going to be like, just think about the people that you borrow money to. Like if you borrowed somebody $400 because I don't know, they can't pay rent this month, whatever it may be. How do you think of them every time they show up until they pay you back? That's how this person that you have their $20,000 feels every time they see you. Every time they see you on vacation, they're like, oh, did they just use my money to take a vacation? And you're like, no, it's still on the flip house. And also knowing that you're securing this with real estate. Like you should not borrow money for operations from a human being. You borrow from a bank, like banks do that kind of stuff. They do startup loans, but you're borrowing money to do a rehab on a house, or you're borrowing money for a down payment on the house. And then you're getting the rehab money from the bank. And then this money is secured by real estate. You are not just randomly saying, oh yeah, like that 20,000, thanks. And then you give them a little piece of paper, like a napkin. No. You need to do this stuff in a safe way. You give them, like we're in Minnesota. So I give a Minnesota mortgage. I file it with the county. So it is on file. So if anything happens, that person is in line to get money back, but also knowing that you are the second lien position, the second lien holder. So what that means is when you buy a house, the bank always gets the first lien, especially if they're giving you the most money. They do not care who else is on it half the time. They just care that they're in first lien position. So if everything goes awry and the house burns down, the first person that's going to get money, they're going to get the bank is going to get their $100,000 first. And then your second lien holder is going to get the $20,000 next, if there's enough payout. So there's always inherent risks in all of this stuff that we're doing, but it's really important to know that you need to tie it to a property. And you can go a step further. In the beginning, I actually still will do this if somebody asks, but we give personal guarantees. So that means that if something happens to the house and the bank gets their money, and Caitlin gave me 20,000 and she's the second lien, and the bank they're like, the insurance company's only paying out 100,000 because that house burned down. Well, Caitlin still has 20,000. So I can either tell her, oh yeah, well, you're kind of just shit out of luck because that's a risk of real estate. Or I'm going to tell her like, hey, I'm going to give you a personal guarantee. So I now am beholden to you. Like I have to pay you out of my pocket. And in the beginning, you need to be okay with doing that. Like you need to be okay with giving somebody that level of trust that if anything goes bad, I'm still going to give you your money. Like I will figure out how to find $20,000. I will make $20,000 and you will get that check back. And that's how people get sued. There's bankruptcies, like there's a lot of stuff that happens out in the market. So you just have to be really good at underwriting your deals, and you need to make sure that you feel like if it is your money, that you feel like it's safe, I guess.
How are you finding the deals that you do?
We haven't bought a deal in like a year and a half. I've realized, except for this motel deal that's happening right now, or that we're kind of in the process of. But I used to do a lot of direct mail. A lot of the flips that I've done have been on direct mail, or they have been on the MLS. I haven't scoped a ton. I've been scoping on the MLS because I want a quadplex, because I want to live in a quadplex in St. Paul, Minnesota. So that's what I've been looking for. So I have been looking a little bit more, but it's been a little bit since I've actually made an offer. But yeah, I was able to I think out of the 5 properties we have, one came from Craigslist. It was just like an overzealous new real estate agent that found me a seller carryback condo, which was still like one of the best deals ever. I've got another house that was a wholesaler, which wasn't the best deal ever, but it still makes us some money. And then another one was a flip that I got from a direct mail. Another one was on the market. It was definitely on the MLS. And then my 5th one was also on the MLS, and it was a full price MLS deal. But that house I think gives us probably $30,000 a year in like gross profit. Is gross the big number or the small number?
Gross is the big one.
Oh, then net. No, we net $30,000 on that house. Yeah.
As
so like in my
short-term?
pocket is
Nice.
that one's really good. That one's in
that's great.
Matt Groveland. Yeah, Matt Groveland. Like that's our best. Like it's one of our best houses. We have 2, but we have big houses. You know, it's a 6-bedroom, 4-bath. Like some nights we really are getting $800 a night. We don't get it all the time, but in the summer times we slay.
Yes, summer is the most fun here.
I know, it really, really is. And we're going into shoulder season, and thankfully we're at least covered in September, but it's because we have one long-term renter. So
do you switch over to midterm on any of yours in the winter?
Yes, our small properties we do. Our condos, so we have 4 short-term rentals. They're full-time short-term rentals, and then one condo. Our condo has to be a midterm rental because of the HOA rules. But then we have one small house down by the airport that doesn't make. That's the one I'm trying to sell. That's the one that also doesn't make enough money for me to feel like it's worth being a short-term rental, because the small ones have a ton of turnover. So they one night stay is not that big of a deal, but it's just a lot more coordination to happen because of all the cleaning and stuff. So because of that one usually flips over in the fall to a midterm renter. And we've done that a few times. Like we'll take a nurse for however long. And yeah, I don't really want to do midterm rental. It's kind of like I don't like long-term rentals. It's just, they're just not my thing. Cause I'm like, I don't know. Why would I would rather work harder for more than $200 a month. And like, you can, like, something goes wrong at one of those long-term rentals. Like I'm in it for cash flow right now, not necessarily for appreciation. Whereas if something goes wrong at one of your houses, like your insurance policy might be a $5,000 deductible, and $5,000 in profit on one of those houses could take you 4 years to get. Because you're taking a small, I mean, if you're doing it right, because of the cap, you need to take out CapEx and do all of that stuff, and assume vacancy. Like, see, I don't even do long-term rentals because I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that much work for a couple $100 a month. Like, I want a couple $1,000s a month, otherwise I'm not doing it. And that's why I do short-term rentals, and that's why it works really well for me, is because that's what I want. I'm looking for cash flow.
And knowing what your goals are, and like you said, doing this for yourself and your own goals, not just what everybody tells you to do or what they think you should do, and getting really clear on what you, Tanya, want.
Yeah, everybody has an opinion on what you should do. You can ask 10 different people on like, what should I do? And I did this for 2 years when I was really confused on what I felt like, where I wanted my life to go. And man, I'm so happy I didn't listen to anybody, because they all had an opinion about what they thought, like obviously what I'm good at, but in conjunction with what they're good at. Because somebody will tell you, like, they'll overtake your idea every time and say, well, this is probably what I would do. And if you want that feedback, totally cool. But if you got to find out the answers inside. Like every time you ask somebody, you're giving them a little bit of power, and it's all about like their jaded view of you. Like, man, I wish sometimes I was whatever some people view me as. I wish I was that version of what they view, because a lot of people think I'm rich. My goddaughter told me the other week that she thought I was the richest person she knows. And I'm like, I'm definitely not. And like her distorted vision. Yeah, I know. Exactly. But people think because the way I travel, I love traveling. So that's a high priority. So some of our money goes to traveling, like no matter what. And then, yeah, I have 5 houses, but I have 5 mortgages. Like, it's not, I don't really see free and clear. So I just have 5 mini jobs that I love to do though. But I think like, sometimes what people think like you would be so good at, well, is that something that lights you on fire or lights them on fire? Because it might be completely opposite. Like, I'm certain that you two both have superpowers, but I would be like, oh, the limited view that I have of both of you, this is what I think each of you should do. And you'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. No, don't do something. Don't
Yes.
give other people your power. You can get their feedback, but I never do it exactly as somebody should tell me what they think I should do.
I asked my husband an opinion. I was like, what would you do if you were in my situation? He was like, I would do this. And I was like, wait, but you have to think about me, like my personality. That's not my personality. It wouldn't work at all.
He's not going to do that, Caitlin. So. He's not going to give you the answer that you're looking for.
No.
They just don't. And that, I think it's taken me a long time to figure that out. And actually, this very specific thing has been the last like 4 weeks. I need to stop asking other people. And it's not to say that other people don't give me really great feedback and really good coaching. It just makes me go, you know what? I always do whatever the hell I want to do anyways. I just need to get more comfortable with that inside me of what I'm telling me. Like, my gut feelings. Yeah. Anytime I follow my gut, I do really fucking well.
Mm-hmm.
Just do more of that.
And it's hard when you're in that frazzled situation of like, oh, what do I do about X, Y, and Z? It's like you're not actually taking the time to just be in a quiet space because you're super frazzled. And it's like, what do I really want? And it's great to ask other people feedback, but knowing how to like filter that correct. I don't want to say the word correctly. Change that. But like the word correctly, filtering it correctly for like take what you want and leave what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just being mindful of what that, that perspective is. Because I got a perspective. I asked a very specific question to a specific human and I weirdly didn't get the answer I wanted. And I'm like, I don't even know why I asked. I knew what that answer was going to be.
Yeah.
And I knew that it wasn't going to be anything like it was good. It was going to be their personality attached to the idea. And I'm like, no, that sounds like something I don't want to do. And it's weird. Oh, it's because I shouldn't fucking ask. Why am I even asking? So yeah, you just, I don't get it. Yeah, it's just, and it's constant.
Yeah. So just to wrap up here, I know you have a podcast that you briefly mentioned earlier. I would love for you to tell us a little bit about it and where people can find you so that they can pop over and hear a little bit more about Tanya.
Yeah. So, first of all, I do have an Instagram, Tanya Rooney MN. And my name is spelled TANYA. I spend a lot of time on Instagram. We put a lot of tribe builder stuff out there. And then I have a website, tanyarooney.com. But I started a podcast earlier this year. I've been talking about it for a while because I really enjoy podcasts. I like to talk to people. I like to interview people, and realized I wanted to start it. And I totally tricked myself into it. I went to an event. I went to a short-term rental event, a big conference, and I had already stated, okay, I'm going to do this podcast. So then I wrote out like a list of 10 people. I'm just like, who do I want to have an interesting conversation with and record it? So I wrote out 10 people and I saw like 4 of them while I was at that conference. So I had approached them and I'm like, hey, I want to record some conversations. Yes, it's going to turn into a podcast. I'm not positive what it's going to be named. I don't know. I kind of know what it's going to be about. Like, would you be interested? And all of them said yes. So I put the cart before the horse because I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this. Like, it essentially made me accountable. There was no way I was going to get out of it because I asked these people that I like respect, and I'm just like, I'm not going to cancel on them. That's just not going to happen. So, yes. So I did that. I started recording like in February, and we started actually releasing, I don't know, probably May or something like that. And so we've got, 15 weeks under our belt right now. The podcast is called Tribe Builders, and it's all about how we build our communities around our businesses, or people who are building communities around business. So it might be somebody that owns a mastermind that kind of says, this is how I built all of this. This is the kind of people that are in it. This is what we get out of it. And communities, like they have a mind of their own. Like everybody has maybe some intention, but what happens is up to the people that join, because it's how much they want to feed into the community or not. And if you, as the community builder, have been able to create the space for people to have those conversations, to be vulnerable, to be whatever it is that community needs to be. So I love talking about those. And then on the other side, it's people that just have incredible communities that have fed off of their communities and built cool things, because we all have a business. We might not all have a mastermind, but we all have a community behind us that helps us get the stuff we need done, that helps us encourage, that helps us chase goals, that helps us Oh my gosh, short-term rentals can be really, really lonely. They can feel really weird. Entrepreneurship
In general.
significantly, yeah, in general,
Yeah.
like it's like it's really lonely and it's really hard sometimes. Like I'm an extrovert, so like being a solopreneur is really hard for me.
Yeah.
So the people around us though can become that community. They can become our peers. They become not our employees, but just people we work with. And I think it's really interesting to kind of check into other people's communities, how they built them, who's in them, how they encourage each other, how they pick each other up, because real estate is such a roller coaster. And you could have, you can make $50,000 in the morning and then you could have somebody steal $20,000 from you in the afternoon. And all that shit happens in one day. And this is not an abnormal conversation to have with somebody. So I think having those people, like the tribe that are around you, is super, super important, because most of the time you would just quit, or you would tell your parents or tell your best friend from high school, and she'd be like, what? You spent how much on what? You did.
And you're
you
crazy.
lost what? Yeah. So you start like building the people around you, like you build the tribe around you that's going to lift you up, that's going to keep you going, and it's going to teach you stuff. Like, of course I didn't know how to buy a motel. So I went to somebody that knows how to buy motels. I paid for his time, and then I learned how to buy a hotel. Like, I mean, this is all like normal stuff that people do. And unless you want to go to college to go and try to figure that out, you got to have somebody that's worth having around you to mentor you. So yeah, that's really what the podcast is about. And my whole community is about, how do we help other people build tribes as awesome as mine? Cause man, I have like the most awesome people in my tribe. Like they're so fucking cool. And like I'm proud to be able to connect them with other people and say like, oh my God, you want to do that? You should talk to this person. Like that's kind of my
Yeah. I love that. Well, we'll make sure to link everything in the show notes too, so that people can connect with you.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be great. I would love that. All the
Very
time.
cool. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day today, Tanya.
I appreciate the invite. Like you two are so awesome. I'm really excited to see the kinds of stuff that you guys do with your podcast, because it's going to fly off, because I mean, it's just a good concept at this point. Like it is so hard sometimes to do what we do and take care of ourselves at the same time as doing this. So I appreciate that you guys started your podcast, and thanks for inviting me. Yay.
Thanks, Tanya. Thank you. See you later.
Thanks, friends. That's the episode for today. We so appreciate you being here with us, and would love if you could leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts.
And don't forget to subscribe for future episodes, and check the show notes to sign up for the waitlist for our retreats and future coaching programs. Stay rested, friends, and talk soon.